Are you ready for your window shoppers to become paying customers? Equity Commerce is here to make that happen. We can help you automatically show the exact product visitors saw but didn't purchase on your site wherever they go on Facebook and Instagram using this magic called dynamic Facebook retargeting. To show these ads to your prospects today, sign up in your Equid control panel in the marketing section and look for the Facebook remarketing app. This is fully integrated into Equid and Facebook and so simple and effective you'll wonder why you hadn't done this sooner. To help you decide, if you sign up now and spend $50 by February 15th, you'll receive a free $100 advertising credit from our friends at Facebook. Okay, back to the show.
This is the Equid E-Commerce Show with your host, Jesse Ness, along with Richard O'Tay.
What's going on, Richard? How are you?
Doing great. I'm excited again, always, this time of the week.
We are always excited to talk e-commerce, even though it's might be nerdy to some people. But if you are listening to this podcast, you're probably excited as well. So,
yeah, and it's not just because it's Friday, since we record on Fridays. That's not the reason, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about automated e-commerce emails. That might be a little bit of a mouthful, but I think everybody knows they should really be spending more time on emails. If you don't know, then it's our job to convince you that you really should be, because it seems like that's kind of to me, that's the easy money in e-commerce.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to hear all kinds of people talking about got to be on social media, and you heard in the intro, we think you should be on Instagram too. You should be anywhere your customers are. But one key thing, that's actually they're your customers, but they're on someone else's platform. And email is always a way to get them back on your playground.
Yeah. So Instagram, Facebook, they're all awesome. And of course, we encourage you to do that. But that is not your playground. That is not your football. If Instagram says, tomorrow this is my ball, I'm going home, you're out of luck. So one way to prevent that is, of course, to have your own website, but even more so, you have to build your own email list, period. There's no, if you really want to make it an e-commerce, long term, don't forget that. Please build your email list. So this should really help out with that.
Yeah, and today's guest is going to be great. We've always heard the traditional, start a newsletter and this, and so it's great to actually hear from someone who's built a software that actually is built it around thinking e-commerce first. So I'm excited. You want to introduce
Yeah, absolutely.
our guest?
So let's bring on our guest. This is Franco Veriano, Head of Growth and Partnerships at Rare.o. How's it going, Franco?
Going well. Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, Richard. Excited to be here.
And that's Rare.io.
Rare.io. Oh, man, I butchered
right.
It is. We're doing the Salesforce.com thing, right? Sometimes it's Rare, sometimes it's Rare.io, but that's the URL if people are looking for us.
And he's such a
Rare.io.
team player, he left the I out.
Oh, yeah. When you work at a company called Equid, that's Equid.com, everybody, just to, I understand the pronunciation, so we got it out there. So, Franco, what does Rare.io do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're basically a personalized email marketing service built specifically for e-commerce merchants, in this case, Equid, because we have done some other stuff on a couple different platforms. We started testing the waters many, many years ago, and have basically taken our application and the success that merchants have seen over to Equid to help Equid merchants succeed with their personalized automated email marketing.
That's awesome. Now, for people that haven't, they're like, oh yeah, I know what email is, and I know what newsletter is. What do you mean by automated email? What's break that down for somebody that's brand new.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we're going to obviously dive into some of the more advanced stuff that you can do with that. But basically, as you guys were saying in the intro, having an email list, that's your database of customers. They belong to you. You can reach out to them anytime, and it's way easier, way less expensive to convince somebody to buy from you again than it is to try and acquire a brand new customer. So holding on and building an email list is really gold. And so what we help merchants do is really find the opportunities and find the gold in that email list through a bunch of personalized, algorithmic or AI-based data segmentation, which again, we can talk really in depth about, and we can highlight some things to do as beginners. But basically, once you have that email list of customers that belong to you, your customer database, you want to be able to reach out to them as frequently as possible. And so that's where you'll do things like newsletter or individual campaigns for specific sales or specific milestones, sometimes tied to a calendar event like Halloween's coming up or something like that. But automated is that's where the real gold comes in, because now you're making money in your sleep. Now you don't have to tee something up specifically.
And Franco, so yeah, I mean, the first things you were talking about there, that's maybe what people are more familiar with. That's newsletters, and that requires you to, you have to get creative and find, it's Halloween, I'm going to do a Halloween sale. But what you're talking about now with automation is a little more next level. So what would be some examples of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's common places to start, and Rare does a good job of making it easy for Ecwid Commerce merchants to kind of jump in and do that. So, common things like welcome campaigns, abandoned cart emails, order follow-ups, that kind of stuff. Anywhere where there's an automatic trigger that can happen somewhere inside your business where you can reach out to people day or night, because, again, commerce is global. These guys, are potentially buying from your store from all over the world. So, you don't want to delay there. Waiting for you, the busy store owner, or if you're a bigger team, your director of marketing or somebody like that, to have to write up each individual customer their individual email, or wait for that next opportunity to upsell them. You want emails going out and making money 24/7.
No, that's perfect. I mean, that's the whole dream of e-commerce, right? Like I want to make money while I sleep. How do I do it?
Yeah, Jesse should start using it, right? He makes money on his e-commerce store every time he sends out an email, and still dreads sending emails. He needs more automation.
Yeah, the automation. Then you don't have to be as creative every single month or every time you need some money. So I mean, would an example of automation be like, okay, you mentioned when people sign up for your newsletter, or maybe when they place a sale? Is that like essentially the triggers for the automation to kick in?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, so there's a bunch of common ones, things like that, like signing up for a newsletter, buying a new product, looking at, the website, maybe adding something to the cart and not completing the order. So there's a bunch of those common trigger points where, to go from sort of amateur to intermediate or expert, you want to deliver a better service and stay front of mind to your customers, and just try to make sure that you're helping them cut through the noise and see that there's a special offer available for them right in that moment, and capitalize on, that intent to buy or to browse, or even reward them. If they've placed a certain amount of orders and you're looking to do a loyalty campaign, it's always nice to let people know that you appreciate them. And kind of like we were saying just a few moments ago, it's easier to convince somebody who has an established relationship buying from you. They know that your products are legit. They like the quality. They like the customer support. They like how fast it gets to them. It's way easier to convince them to come back and continue to buy from you than it is to say, hey, stranger, I've got something that you want to buy. Here it is, right? And just not have that relationship there. So that's where automated emails can come into play. And automated, may carry a bit of a negative connotation, like, oh, it's not personalized, but that's where Rare comes into play to help make those emails that go out feel very real and look very real and be very specific, versus that traditional newsletter where you're blasting your entire email list. Hey, come take 10% off, and shop. That's not super personal. If everybody's getting the same offer on the same product, that's not really interesting.
And so, we won't go too deep, because again, it would get a little bit complicated. But just as e-commerce fans, Jesse and I really geek out on this stuff. It sounds as if you still have to work on the flow of what that actual email would say, or is Rare actually creating the email for you? You'd still have to figure out the flow, like if this happens, then that, and you still have to write out the text, right? The AI is not that, like, or is
that's not. So a bit of both, I guess. So I mean, so Rare as a product, we've got lots of starter templates ready to go for you to apply to your store. We've got the most common formulas or trigger points set up for things like welcome emails or abandoned carts. So you don't have to try to imagine where should this fit into my business. We've already identified the most common and most critical areas for you to just set up an email for. So that's all in the software when you sign up and go ahead and create it.
That's
every
awesome.
business.
Yeah, I love that, especially for newbies, where they might, if you're listening to this podcast and saying, yeah, all right, automation, I'm going to do it, and then that's all you have, you know, that's hard. But
so basically you're saying
absolutely.
they would just put it to their
overwhelming and
vernacular. Their vernacular then, right? So you got your template. Sorry for over jumping in there, but again, getting excited. So you got the templates. It's pretty much there. Here's the 80% of what you're going to need, and now you put in your 20% that makes it unique to your customers, your vernacular, your site, your product.
Exactly, correct. Yeah. So, I mean, the cool thing about, and I'm sure we're going to get to this maybe in a bit, so hopefully I'm not jumping the gun, but you know, when you're thinking about email marketing, a lot of other names might jump out, like a MailChimp or a Constant Contact or something like that. And that's great because you're coming from a perspective of, I've got an email list or a database of customers, and I want to get some news out to them. And traditionally, the best way of doing that was just a newsletter, which sort of, you know, most of the time just recaps company news or some blog posts, but it's not really commerce focused. And so, you know, for a long time, if you're using that kind of software, that kind of tool, you're then trying to figure out, like, okay, well, how can I quickly pull, you know, my product picture, and now I need the description, and now I need how many reviews there were, or I need the price, and what happens if somebody buys that? You know, how does that integrate with you know, Ecwid in terms of you know, lowering my inventory count? Well, with Rare, that was built specifically for e-commerce email marketing, you know, with a direct integration for Ecwid, we do so many things on the back end there in terms of, if you do want to start from scratch, or, you know, customize a template that we've got in there, you're able to find your products right there in the interface. So you don't have to go digging around the internet or digging around, you know, somewhere on your computer to find, where did I keep you know, that product shot or that description, or go, you know, back and forth with your site and copy and paste. We'll do an amazing job of pulling all that product information right into your email for you.
So it also sounds as if, even though you have a lot of feature sets that could almost go enterprise or could go to enterprise level, that a beginner could come in, utilize your software, and, you know, we'll direct them exactly where, rare.io later, and they can look at the price and all the different stuff. But it looks, from what I can see here, like they could get started right away and literally take the place of a MailChimp right now, and then maybe or may not use all those feature sets, but they're not going to have to move into a whole new software and learn a new way of working with it. They can just grow as their business grows. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's the goal, is to, you know, kind of, as we've mentioned, is as you build that email list, which is your gold mine, your customer database, and you own those customers, you want to be able to continue to get the most out of that list as possible and make smarter product recommendations each time, and maintain that relationship with each individual customer at once. So that's where some of our AI and all the data stuff that we do behind the scenes that we'll get into in terms of smart timing and smart product recommendations. Yeah. We built that right in to really make sure that each email that we send is not something that you have to sit down and think, you know, hours about, of like, hey, you know, Richard bought this last time, so I better make sure that this time that I'm reaching out to him, I'm going to do this. It just allows you to do it on, you know, at scale in an automatic way.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is Jesse here with a question on, so like, let's say somebody has a store, they, you know, they sell bikes and they also sell apparel, right? So maybe somebody that buys a bike might be interested in several things, bike parts and such, but somebody that bought apparel maybe they're just going to stick with apparel. Does your software give somebody the ability where, okay, they bought a bike, let's say in a month or so, we're going to give them, you know, offers on bike tires and things like that. Is that kind of what we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, all those kind of settings are configurable, and it really depends on the merchant and what they need, and how many products that they have in their store, and that kind of situation. But in the context you described, yeah, exactly. If somebody comes in and buys a bike, it doesn't make sense, you know, for $1,500 or whatever, it doesn't make sense to keep recommending bikes every time you send out an email. Obviously, they're going to need more stuff, and there's only so many bikes you're going to buy in a year, unless you're really making, you know, bad bike choices. But you totally will need, you know, helmet, gloves, you know, the racing jersey, maybe some footwear, maybe you need some new pedals, maybe you need a water bottle. So those kind of related products or other smart things, if somebody seems to be buying from one specific brand collection, for example, like I'm not an avid cyclist, so I'm not sure, but I'd imagine that a manufacturer of clothing supplies and accessories, if you tend to be a fan of them and you tend to be buying those products, well, it doesn't make sense to show you products from a brand, brand B that you might not like as much as brand A. So as the system sees that, hey, this customer in particular on your customer list, on your email list, tends to be buying, brand A, well, let's show them more brand A stuff. And if, somebody tends to be buying across the board, well, then they get a little bit of everything. But people tend to have favorites and things that they look for, right? I mean, the funny part about e-commerce sometimes is that as merchants, we sort of forget our own biases as individuals when we go shopping. Everybody tends to have some affinity towards certain products and certain things. And so, we try to take that information that an individual give us by browsing your site, by having purchase history, and just automate that process of you, the store owner, not needing to keep track of all these personal preferences. The software takes care of that for you.
Yeah, that's super cool, because as a merchant, you might have a hunch on a couple of these things, but first you have to actually have the right hunch, and then you'd have to set up all these different emails that say if person X buys product Y, then send email Z, and my head is already exploding on this. So, I mean, I think that's awesome that this software can that has this AI in there that can just start figuring that out for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it doesn't have to be that complicated, but I mean, you can end up seeing, if you were to try and keep track of this stuff manually, you almost end up with like a football playbook with all kinds of different things happening. But I mean, if your business is as simple as, hey, this is a monthly subscription box, and you just need to renew every quarter, or you need to provide some feedback, or there's a few products to upsell here and there, it can easily handle that just as well as it'll handle something super complicated where you may be shipping a bunch of different cycling parts and accessories internationally to a bunch of different time zones and a bunch of different currencies. So Rare definitely is able to help scale throughout those different scenarios.
Yeah, that's perfect, especially for people that are getting a basic idea of what we're talking about, but say, man, I really don't want to set that up. I really just want to push the easy button on this and have email start making some money for me. So how long? So this is AI, and AI needs data in order to work. How long does it take Rare to start, seeing these connections and start sending the right emails?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, on the back end, we abstract a lot of that complication for merchants. So we've been in business for over 6 years, and like I said, across a couple different platforms with servicing merchants in a bunch of different industries. So we've been able to collect and gather a lot of really interesting data that feeds back into the templates, that feeds back into the preset recommendations when you say, hey, I need a welcome campaign. So we take care of, if you're a smaller store, basically giving you some seed data to start with based on what we've seen work. Now, as soon as your own customers start to interact with those emails, or they interact with your website, or they start racking up some purchases through those emails, then we can actually start to tailor it a little bit more individually to them. But, if you're brand new, you're just setting up your Ecwid store today, and you recognize that even though it's not super sexy, email marketing is probably a good channel for you to build and own over time and invest in over time, you can plug Rare in right away today, and it'll start learning as you start to add those customers, as people start to sign up for your welcome email, as people abandon a cart or then come back and purchase. It will learn who those people are and what's happening and what the best is to what the best products are to show them.
So even though it's nothing like Google Analytics, it's like Google Analytics in that it's better to have it connected to your website. Even if you don't use that data in the beginning, it will be useful later. So in this particular case, you might not be using all the feature sets, but in the background, without you doing anything, Rare is learning more about your customers. So as you decide to use the other feature sets, it's ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
Yeah, I think something that's really interesting to me is I take a look at, of course, we told people to build an email list before, and usually people put up a sign-up link, and then when the customer who signs up that email, they get an email back that says, thank you for adding your name to our newsletter, period.
Yeah.
Goodbye. And, wow, I think this is just such an easy thing to do. Like, well, why wouldn't it be The first is, thank you. And here's a video of me showing off my products. And then in a week, there's another email that, I don't know, talks in more detail about the factory or the source, or and then of course you want to throw in a sale there at some point too. So yeah, it's just this huge missed opportunity. And man, if I could just plug into some software and more than half of that email is written for me, I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, in today's world where everybody's glued to Instagram and, Facebook or whatever, you're competing for customers' attention. You're competing with other notifications from a messaging app, from these social networks. So if somebody's on your site and sees enough value, either a discount, offer if they sign up for your newsletter, or some, special sales that only they would see, or a members only section, or depending, on your business model, how you're organizing that, you only have a split second to capture their attention. If they're on their site and they see enough value to give you their personal information, that email address, where you can start to build that relationship with them, because that's what they're opting into. They're saying, hey, you have something that I want, or there's something in your brand that I really like and I want to be a part of. If it's a community movement, that kind of thing. But they're busy. They're going to forget about you. And so 74% of people, maybe the status changed, they expect an instant welcome email right then and there. And kind of like you're saying, don't just make it a, hey, thanks for signing up, we'll be in touch in a month. No, like, you still have their attention. Make that super actionable. Start sharing, your mission and what you're all about. Give them a place to start, especially if you have an extensive catalog or something like that. Like, they may not know what the best products are. What do other community members like? What should I buy? Are there any starter kits or that kind of stuff? Like, they're excited. They've given you that attention. They've opted in. So make it easy for them to take that next step, and don't wait, a month to make that sale. Go ahead and start, in a positive and reinforcing manner. Just let them know that, like, hey, we're here for you, and here's some cool stuff that you might like to know, either about us, either about the community that you're joining, or about, some of the products that we do have on the site that we think you might like as somebody who's new here.
So does Rare also, well, obviously you're tracking that users, what they're doing and figuring out what would be good to recommend to them. Are you also keeping in mind other users and what you'd see other people's patterns, and maybe recommend, hey, other people are doing this, you might want to look at this. So even if they're brand loyal, you start to see a bunch of other people using, I'll just say Shimano, back to the bike stuff. And then they start going over to another brand, or they see something that works well with that brand. Do you start kind of working with the other users' data too?
Yeah, for sure. So there is some of that cross-pollination, especially if there is a limited size catalog, or they seem to be slowing down on some of the purchases. Depending on what's happening globally on the site, you can start to see some of that stuff come into the recommendations. But we try to tailor it as much as possible to the individual, but it's really based on the business and the store size. So everybody gets something a little bit different depending on who they are and who they're trying to sell to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think there was something you said too, Franco, that I think is important to stress to people, that when people are on your website, if they give you their email, they expect to hear from you, and they probably expect to hear from you a couple times. So, really, if people, I think a lot of people are afraid to send emails. Sometimes they feel like they're spamming, or, I really shouldn't do this. But, you said it right, that people are expecting to hear from you. And this is the opportunity where that attention that they've now given you, there's a lifespan to it. And if you don't let them know, let's say you wait a month for your next newsletter, you've really lost the opportunity, and that person is they don't respect you for waiting a month to send an email. They're like, no, I signed up. I wanted to hear your story. So,
oh, for sure. And they probably even bought from a competitor by then. 30 days is way too long. We have, when in the age of fast shipping and being able to find anything at your fingertips, I would have moved on and gone to the next person if I hadn't heard from, a certain vendor or whatever. So yeah, so capitalize on those opportunities, capitalize on that attention, and go ahead and make the sale.
Yeah, especially for those people who sometimes use it as they get this, give us your email, we'll give you this digital download, and they don't even, they're on to something else. They don't even go look at the digital download yet. And now you wait for a while and you send an email and you didn't do anything. They've sometimes, I'm sure, I don't know the exact stats, but I'm sure there's a pretty high percentage that are like, who is this again? I don't even remember who this is, if you don't do some sort of indoctrination series of some kind.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, talking about emailing in 30 days or the old kind of newsletter paradigm towards email marketing, each individual is different, not only in the product recommendations that they want to see based on purchase history or what they're looking at on the site or wish lists or whatever, but each individual now also, we all, it's a busy world. We're all kind of on our own schedules. So you shouldn't just send your emails every Monday at 9 a.m. I shop at night. That's, when I have free time, and it's, on my iPhone when I'm on the couch. So Rare also takes into account that smart timing sort of element to it is, welcome emails you definitely want instantaneously because they, like I said, they've given you your attention. But for other things, other campaigns, other automated emails, you want it to happen when that person is ready for it and when they're most likely to buy from your store. So Rare also takes that into account of saying, hey, there's some emails that need to go out right away. And that's baked into the template, and we recommend not changing it. But then there's other emails where, you as a store owner thinking, hey, I'm going to blast everybody, Tuesday at 9 a.m. or Monday at 9 a.m. and kick off the week. Well, Monday morning at 9 a.m., that's when I'm emptying all my inbox from all the emails I got over the weekend to start fresh for the week. So, that's another element to keep in mind.
So I know some point in there you were mentioning like discount codes. So I'd imagine, do you have to go create those codes in like yourself in the site, and then Rare just pulls those codes out, or how? Give me the 101 on how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the e-commerce platform Ecwid is the source of truth. So that's where, you're going to maintain your product catalog, your descriptions, the photos, the prices, the coupons, all that stuff. Rare will then just pull all that information from there into the email marketing software to help you quickly access that kind of stuff. So that if you are building a custom campaign for Halloween or, Black Friday's coming up, you'll have those coupons that you would have created or the product collections or any of that stuff already available to you right there. And it's easy. We've just got like a very intuitive drag and drop email builder. If you're looking to change up some of the templates or if you want to build it from scratch, you're just dragging these big blocks of information over. So text, images, products, recommendations, all that kind of stuff. And just kind of tweaking it as you'd like to have your design fit in there or whatever for your style. But it's all super easy to build or customize based on your needs. But all that information will come from the Ecwid store.
Got it. So say you had a code in there that said 10. There was. I'm just going to make some up here. There's a 5% code. There's a 10% off code, and there's a 15% off code. You could set it up to where, if somebody keeps coming back to the site and they always buy something, then I'm literally making a scenario up right now. Say maybe you do like, hey, this one is going to be a 15% off. We're going to give a bigger discount, but in the verbiage, it's going to say, because you're a loyal customer, we really want to say thank you, and can't really give away the margins all the time, whatever. I mean, that's not the greatest email, obviously, but we want to say thank you, right? Some sort of loyalty. And then maybe someone else, like they've come multiple times and you want to give them a 5%, they've come here 3 times, they haven't. And then they still don't take advantage of that. And then 2 more weeks go by, and then maybe now they get the 10% discount. And, I'd imagine there's times that this works great, but I'd imagine there's some times where it's almost like, damn, now they're always waiting for a discount code. So having that AI is actually pretty cool. Can it get that granular there?
Yeah. So what you're talking about there is a segmenting, what's called email marketing segmenting or email segmenting. And that's where, if depending on what tool you're using, it's already baked right into Rare. Some other platforms you can do some external segmentation or whatever, but we've got what you're talking about baked right into the platform, where we have these segments that just keep popping up, or that you can create if you're looking for something super specific. You could get as granular as saying, hey, all the people that I acquired, from that Facebook ads campaign, because I'm not saying don't do ads. I'm just saying make sure you get their email. Otherwise, you're just renting that customer. But if you're doing an ad and you have a special offer, and you want to, and somebody purchases it through a coupon code or something, you could say, hey, Rare, show me all the customers who came in through that offer by using that coupon code, and then, show me what other products they've purchased in the past, or show me how much money they've since spent, or what cities did they come from, or all kinds of information like that. So that's really where, our customer success team can come in to help you navigate those waters, because there's so many different signals to look for. I mean, we do a good job of showcasing, like I said, those basic things that we've identified in your business that everybody should be doing if you want to be successful at selling online. And then if you're ready to take it to the next step, we've got a team of experts here who can help you kind of figure out, how do I do this advanced segmentation? How do I automatically send, a 5% discount code if they've been here every day and they're not converting? How do I increase it from there? If somebody's buying a lot, how do I, keep them engaged but don't give them too much? That's stuff that we can help figure out for sure. And it's all, baked. The capacity is baked into the system.
That's great. So this isn't a DIY project. Like, this is a, hit up support, give them your questions, and they can help guide you as well.
Yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing about Rare is it's a pretty big open toolbox. So if you've got the expertise of enterprise level email marketing or e-commerce email marketing, you can go in and pull all the levers and knobs that you need. If you're just starting out and you're not sure what's the best way to get started, we try to make it as easy as possible for that to happen too. So we try to meet everybody's needs as much as possible as well.
That's awesome. So we talked a little bit about some in-depth concepts here. Is there some example that we could give that people could check out on their own, or any, do you have a sample that we could check out?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we've got a bunch of Ecwid stores on the Rare platform, but I would totally recommend going to check out coffeeroasters.com.hk. They're actually, the company's called Coffee Roasters Asia, but they've done a really amazing job. They've only been on the platform. They've only been using Rare for 4 months. And we've been able to help them earn over $10,000 through email marketing. So that's, directly attributed to the emails that they send out. Now, they do a lot of campaigns, so they are setting up specific sales or specific events. But they do have some automation set up as well, and that's quickly growing in revenue too. So the automation stuff is, again, where you're making the money in your sleep, where you don't necessarily need to be ready and on standby to send every single person who takes a different action on your store a different email. Rare will handle that for you, so you can get some sleep but still make some money, or you can take a weekend off and know that we're still making you money, and you will have some orders to fulfill when you're back or whatever. But at least we're getting you those orders.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, actually, I just checked out the site. It's coffeeroasters.com.hk for everybody, and I think this is a good example for people to help visualize it. So they sell specialty coffee, and specifically in Hong Kong, they actually have a Chinese and an English version. So that's pretty cool, actually. But my guess is that people that buy one specific coffee here, like Specialty Gold, Apple Fresh Bread Pomelo, they might be ready to reorder in, say, 14 days or 30 days or something. So, I mean, it makes an obvious, that email makes perfect sense. Okay, they bought this kind of coffee, they probably want that again in a certain amount of days. So, I mean, is that what you guys did for them, that type of automation?
Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff. Again, welcome email. So, people who want to try something. So especially, these guys ship internationally. So especially if you want to try something new that comes from, different places, or you're not really sure, it's something different than going to the grocery store and just picking up whatever Folgers or something like that. You want to sort of entice people to try something new. And so these kind of products where, you're able to kind of consume them and have people come back and either discover new things, or, tend to, you create new flavor profiles and they want to reorder. That's the kind of automation that we can take care of for you, so that automatically, if you know that your product tends to last for a month, maybe on day 25, you send somebody, hey, you're about to run out of coffee. That would suck if you wake up, Monday morning, you don't have coffee. How about you place an order now and it'll be at your place before you run out. Something like that. Or you could be like, hey, we've noticed you tend to try a lot of these types of coffee beans. Maybe you want to try something a little bit darker, or maybe something a little bit lighter. Or, hey, we're introducing a new roast. That's just one example, of a consumable kind of product. Same thing for cosmetics versus, apparel. Apparel, unless the season is changing where you live and you need, some heavier or some lighter clothes, or there's a new collection coming out, you have to kind of create those those opportunities to kind of sell and hit people up. Whereas if it's consumable like food or coffee or cosmetics, where people are using shampoo, they're using their makeup, they're using their body wash, they're drinking their coffee, there you can set up a lot more of that kind of automation where you're doing the product refills. But there's opportunities for automation in every business type and every business model, no matter what you're doing. And once you have that set up, then it's work that you don't have to recreate. It just repeats itself for you. And so now you're saving a bunch of time and you're able to focus on other aspects of your business.
Wow, that's awesome. So Franco, I know you have another product you're working on, and we don't want to go deep into that now. We'll have you back on another time. But I was just thinking about this as you were kind of going through a lot of that and then you went into the segmentation piece. Is it pretty easy to segment the list, and actually can you export that list to say I want to only advertise to people who've bought these type products, or is that something we should cover at another time?
That's probably something. So the capacity is all there, and that's where you're getting into some of the stuff that I love to do because I'm a growth marketer and an email guy, and so that's where once you own that email address or once you own that customer, you have that relationship. You're able to now use that to do retargeting ads or to try and create a lookalike audience on Facebook, and so that's how you grow your business. But it all starts off with that email list. Yeah. It all starts off with that email list. That's the hard work of building that relationship. And and you don't want to sound malicious or anything like that either in terms of, doing lookalike audiences or retargeting or anything like that. Those are the tools that you need to leverage to try and compete with other brands, but make sure that your loyal customers are staying engaged with your audience. Otherwise, somebody's going to come in there and scoop that up. I don't mind seeing brands ads for products that I love, especially if there's something new coming out or something I should try that I haven't. It sort of acts as a reminder, and when I'm ready to capitalize, I've seen that ad. There's been enough touch points. I trust them. I'm ready to order. So you gotta think of it in that way. There's always for sure less than positive or less than ideal ways of outcomes, but you try to focus on the good stuff of building a real company, building a real brand, and being there to fulfill the needs and wants of your customers.
And I think the important thing there is that it all starts with the email. So, everybody, you should know by now, if you listen to this whole podcast, you got to get the email. But not only do you have to get the email, the person who signed up to your newsletter or whatever automation they're in, they need to be kind of indoctrinated into your company. You can't just send one email and then later on think they're going to continue to buy from you. So definitely get that first email. And I think we're giving you all the tools to do it. We just need to help you along the way.
Yeah, exactly. And like we're saying, the whole way, we can get really deep into this and kind of geek out on the e-commerce side. That's obviously not something I think we want to do right this instant. We were starting to get away there. It got away on me a few times. Sorry, guys. We're starting to get heavy there. But the basic stuff, like if you just want to get started today, it's set up some automations. All the ones that Ray recommends, there's 5 or 6 of them right there in the software. Welcome campaigns, abandoned cart campaigns, idle customers, so people who haven't bought from you in a while, churn customers, people who've forgotten about you and just disappeared. And if you just start emailing those guys with some thoughtful and meaningful, and put yourself in their shoes when you're writing these emails. What would they want to hear? What would make them come back? And try to create that meaningful relationship with them. And once you've created that email, like I said, that's running for you 24/7, 365. And then you can start to layer on some special offers, either once a month or once a season or end of the quarter or whatever, with those manual campaigns where you're dragging and dropping those blocks of content, building your email. But Rare is taking that information and personalizing it to each individual customer to increase your chances of success.
Oh, for sure. That's the full playbook there, everybody. So Franco, that's awesome content. I hope a lot of people are taking some notes, pulling over on their drive to, think about, plan out their email. But so obviously best place for Ecwid customers is to go to the Ecwid app market, and you're looking for Rare, RARE.io, since I butchered it earlier. But Franco, where else can people learn about you guys? I would assume you have an email series that maybe people would be interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, folks can visit our website as well. We link to it from the Ecwid App Store, but people can check us out at rare.io. And there, we've got a blog. We do have a newsletter series that goes out where we educate folks. Our customer support team and success team are standing by all the time. They're happy to help out if you've got questions about, hey, how do I get started? What should I be looking for? We've got all kinds of helpful information that we can either share or jump on a coaching call and help you out.
Awesome. And Franco, what if they want to hear more from you personally? Is there any place that they can find you online?
Yeah, absolutely. The best place to find me online is, on Twitter at Franco Variano, and of course at Rare.io as well.
Awesome. Rich, any last questions?
No, I was just laughing because I had already just followed him on Twitter like 3 minutes before he said that.
There you go.
Awesome. We're watching it on Twitter now, Franco. So awesome. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks so much, guys. I really loved being here today.
Awesome. We'll look forward to having you back.
All right. Rich.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I can't wait to, a little leak on what the other is. They're going to be working a little bit more with the advertising end of
For sure.
retargeting and
let's not scare all our listeners, Rich. Come on now.
No. Let's not scare them.
No. We want everybody to be excited about doing this email because
it's inspirational. People aspire to be better, grow. Like they got the meat. They know where they can get started. All is good.
You have your store. And you got to think about email, and then you think about advertising, or maybe advertising first, email second.
See what I mean? Yeah. Now you see what I'm saying?
No, I'm with you.
We're not going deep. Just looking forward to it.
I'm with you. But, a couple things that stood out to me from what Franco said, I think, particularly for beginners, we went in depth on some stuff here, but I think the beauty is that the templates already exist in the software. So you don't really need to, if you didn't understand half of what we said, that's fine. You don't really need to.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, you just, I'm kind of pumped. I think I got to sign up for this now and just go through this. And I think what templates mean is, okay, we said welcome series, or we said, abandoned cart series. Well, it's already written for you. You just need to change some of the words,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like 80% of it's written. Now you just put your store name instead of that template store name, and you put the way you would word your product or whatever, and so, but it's probably 80% written for you.
Yeah,
and you don't have to configure things.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of a project right now where I'm undergoing some of this stuff, and I'm writing all those things and figuring out when should I send this email. Like, I'm doing it the hard way. I don't want to do it the hard way. I want the easy way. So.
Well, it's part of what the beauty of Ecwid is. It seems like everything from Ecwid itself to the partners. It seems like you guys are really always keeping the customer in mind that, yes, you want to grow, but we're going to try to get it as easy for you to get started as possible. Sales 101.
Yeah, I think this is like just another example of basically all this stuff was enterprise stuff. 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, this would be, you have to go through a sales process. You're paying thousands of dollars for somebody to scope this out. So now with e-commerce, with email, with advertising, it's all, all these things are basically available as an app for like $20, $50, $100, where, it's thousands of dollars for this kind of stuff a few years ago. So it's awesome times.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's sign up.
All right. We're signing up. Rare.io. Franco, you got 2 customers here, so that's awesome. All right. Everybody, with Ecwid e-commerce show, this is Jesse and Rich. Get out there. Make it happen. Well, Rich, there's another great show.
And when you add it all together with the other shows, you won't miss any strategies or new tactics on how to grow your online business.
So to make sure you don't miss anything, subscribe on your favorite podcast player. Rich, what player do you like?
Probably Stitcher.
All right.
How about you?
I'm an Apple podcast guy. I'm an Apple guy on that.
Yeah.
And we're growing right now. A listener asked us to add Google Play as a platform. So we just added that a couple weeks ago. We have Spotify, SoundCloud.
Nice. We're everywhere.
So subscribe on your favorite platform, and don't forget to rate and review us.
So we know what you think.
Yeah. Yeah, rate how we're doing, review on what we have done, tell us topics you'd like us to cover, tell us if you think we're great and you are going to take over the world.
Subscribe, rate, and review.
It's the only way we'll know, and it keeps the shows coming. Thanks, everybody.